6 weeks ago, I told you something. I told you your firm has no documented quality management system, that you are the quality management system. And since then, we've built the document that change that. The quality standard, what good work looks like before it leaves. The review checklist, your processes made visible and transferable. The 3R rule, the only situations that come back to you. The unusual situations, the FAQ. This is for the 30 recurring questions with written answers, and the reference card. Everything essential on one page at the manager's desk. The system exists. And I'm willing to bet the reviews are still landing on your desk. And this is not because those documents failed, but because you haven't done the one thing documents can do for you. You haven't handed it over. And here's the mistakes most firms make at this stage. Well, they build documents, they train their managers on them, they do a walkthrough, they answer the questions, and then they wait for the manager to take ownership. But the ownership doesn't transfer by osmosis. A manager who has checklists but hasn't been explicitly told, this review is yours, not mine, sign your name to it and let it leave. That manager is still executing your process, not owning it. And there's a specific moment that separates execution from ownership. It's the moment the manager signs off on a return without showing it to you first and leaves the firm. And the return leaves the firm. That moment has to be engineered deliberately, or it doesn't happen. Because without it, the system you built is a very well documented version of the old way. Now, before I give you the sequence, I want to name the thing that masks this step harder than any other step in the series. You see, as a CPA, you've spent your career building a reputation for your quality. Your clients trust you because your work comes from a firm that meets a standard. And that standard has your name on it. And now, I'm asking you to let your work leave you without reviewing it. I understand why that feels like a risk. But here's what I want you to think about. Right now, with you reviewing everything, what happens when you are unavailable? Not on a vacation, unavailable, sick, in back-to-back meetings, or unreachable for a day. Work queues, return sit, clients wait. The standard doesn't drop, but the delivery does. Your name is on quality, but your presence is a bottleneck that prevents the quality from reaching the client on time. The handover in itself doesn't lower the standard. It removes you as the thing standing between the standard and the client. Those are different problems. They and they assess the assess, test, and handover sequence is designed to prove before you fully step back that the standard travels without you. So this is divided into 3 stages because it's not a leap, it's a sequence. 3 deliberate stages that build evidence before commitment. Stage 1, assess. Before anything transfers, you need to know what your manager can currently carry. Not what you hope, but what they've actually demonstrated. Run 3 test reviews. Pull returns from the last month, the ones you've already reviewed and know they're clean. But don't tell the manager that. Keep it hush hush. So give them the return, the checklist, the FAQ, the reference card, and ask them to review it. And completely sign off as if it were live. Then review their work, not their return. Review what they got, what they missed, what they flagged as uncertain, and what they signed off confidently. That assessment shows you where they are, not where you want them to be, where they actually are. Stage 2, test. Check the areas where the assessment showed competence. Transfer those specifically. Not everything, not yet. The categories they demonstrated they are ready for. The manager reviews and signs off in those categories independently. Work leaves without your eyes on it. You see it after spot checks, not because you don't trust them, but because ownership without feedback isn't ownership, it's abandonment. And because you're not abandoning the standard, you're testing that it travels. The spot check isn't a review, it's quality assurance at a system level. Tell them that directly. That distinction matters for how they show up. Stage 3, handover. When the test period demonstrates consistent quality, the formal handover happens. 5 specific review responsibilities transferred, named, written, and signed. The manager reviews independently in those 5 categories, signs of work leaves. Now you are out of that process completely, not reduced, not occasionally involved, out. The handover needs a document, not because of the legal and formality matters, but because the act of signing it is what makes the transfer both real for you, the owner, and for your manager. So 1 page, 4 things. The 5 responsibilities been transferred, you name it specifically. A confirmation that the manager has the tools, the checklist, the FAQs, the 3R threshold, and demonstrated competence in assessing and the testing of these phases. A statement of what ownership means is the manager reviews independently, signs off, and is accountable for the quality of the firm in their categories. The 3R installation protocol, the only situation that come back, both signatures dated. Before that document exists, the manager is assisting with reviews. After it exists, the manager owns the reviews. Say that out loud to them when they sign it. Not as a formality, as a real statement of what actually happened. Because that moment, that specific conversation, is what changes how they show up the next day and the day after and the review afterward. Like every review after that just changes how they approach it. And here's what the firm looks like 6 days after the real handover. The manager moves work, they review, they sign off, they make calls on situations, the FAQ covers, they escalate the genuine R situations, but they don't stop. They don't wait. They move. Turnaround time drops because work isn't queuing behind one person's availability anymore. Your best people stop looking for exits because for the first time they have authority that matches their capability. They own something real. And for you, for the first time in 10 years, you have more mornings that belong to you. Not because you actually stopped caring about quality, but because you build something that carries your standard without requiring your constant presence to hold it up. And that is not stepping back. That's what you've built the firm to become. Now, 6 weeks ago, the reviews never stopped. You were in the system, and the system that depended on one person doesn't scale. They don't sell, they don't survive on an unexpected absence. They just run until the person running them stops. With now, you have built the alternative. The quality standard holds the level. The checklist carries the process. The 3R rule draws the line. The FAQ answers the questions. The reference card keeps all of this accessible. But now the manager holds it. Not because you abandoned your standard, but because you trusted the system you built enough to let it run. That trust, expressed in a signed document, in a deliberate conversation, is the moment the firm stops being you and it starts being yours. This week, run the assessment. 3 returns, manager reviews them, you compare, and you see where they are. Don't skip the handover part. Earn it with the data the assessment gives you. Thursday, we'll go into the tracking system, the 3 numbers that tell you whether the ownership is actually holding or quietly drifting back to where it started 60 days after the handover, because the most common failure point is in the handover, but what happens after it? The dependency score is in the description. I will see you on Thursday.